Good morning, everyone. Good to see everybody here with the Premium Gang, right? Hashtag Premium Gang. We've got a few minutes before we open. I see several of you are already joining us. Hopefully, it's going to be a good day for everyone. As always, any comments or anything you want me to look at, just put it in the comments section. I'll be sure to check things out for you. We'll go over some more price action stuff today. I wanted to show you something that occurred yesterday and how I was able to determine that it was about to happen. So we'll cover that once we get going. As you can see, I have ES up on my screen as normal. Here is the overnight action starting right here. As you can see, other than spiking up here and then again right now, we've sort of been in this range right through here between these two support and resistance levels at 26.6375 and 26.3050. So other than spiking up here and here, we've sort of been right in that range. It was a fairly quiet evening, an overnight session. Hey, Steve. Good to see you. For this morning, I think the sentiment overall is bullish from most people. I've seen people calling that we're going to go to 27.28. I've seen that number thrown out there. I've seen some people saying we're going to go to 27.68. We'll see what they're going to do, right? we don't try to guess or predict. I've also seen a couple people giving caution, saying, "Hey, be careful. Be careful. We might see another flush down today, but we'll let price action tell us what's gonna happen there." I mean, just looking at the chart here, we've got this big wick over here. Okay, yes, from yesterday. You see that where we pushed up and then they pushed it back strong to the downside. Right there. Okay, so we'd have to get through that to the upside. If we got above that, it'd be pretty easy to get up here to this resistance level at 27.21. Sort of here where they had this little rally, a little bit of a base, and then a drop. Okay, that's not a fabulous zone there. Not fabulous. This is actually a little bit better because of the way it dropped away. But if you drew this in, you'll see that hit that zone. I'll just do it and then I'm going to take it right back off. So we did sort of create a little bit of supply right here. And I'm not even going to change it to pink because I'm going to take it off. So we had this strong drop away after this little, that's more of a medium candle, but we rallied, based, and then strong drop away. So we did create a little bit of supply there, and you'll notice when we came back up into it, we immediately rejected. So that is one thing I'm going to talk about. Let me go ahead and change this pink. I'm going to leave it on here just for now. I'll probably take it back off, but once we sort of get rolling, I'm going to talk about how I determined that we were going to have that significant move to the downside yesterday, just so you guys could be looking for the same things in the future. Got less than 30 seconds before we open. Okay, right now we're at this same level where we rejected earlier, which is right in the middle of this wick. So we're going to see what they do when the market opens. I'm going to go ahead and remove this because we're going to be putting a new one in here in about 10 seconds. See, there's a few of you here already. So I know Steve's in here. I don't know who else is in here, but welcome to everybody who's here. Okay, here we go. We opened at 26.77.75. 26.77. I got to go up here and change to the right tool. Got to get my trend line tool. You scroll this over for a second. 26, 77, 75. So we always start by putting this in. Really doesn't matter to me what price does these first few minutes. Just using this as a information gathering time. I recommend you do the same, but obviously you're more than welcome to do whatever you want at market open. So what did we do? Yesterday, obviously, second half of the day, we had the steep drop. Just to give you an idea, we went from 27.38.25 all the way down. Here's where we ended the day right there. But the lowest point was 26.34.75. Okay, it's 26.34 from 27.38. So that was approximately $103, $104 drop in the afternoon yesterday. Then overnight, as we just talked about, we just sort of ranged, kind of spiked up a little bit there, but dropped right back in, range, and then here's where we're at currently. We've been slowly melting up since about, we had this little basing area, so since about 5:30 in the morning, just slowly melting up. Okay, and we're looking, our first move out of the gate has been to the upside. So let's see, are they going to continue that, or is this going to be the move that precedes the move, right? Are we going to go up and then reverse and start heading back down? Got to clear this wick right over here. That's what we would have to clear to see some more upside. So we're going to see, we'll watch it for a minute or two before we go on to look at other things. I can take this off of here for now. I had this on here in case we took this bottom of this range out. That would let me know that we were dropping. Okay, we've worked our way back down to opening price level already. Okay, had this little pop here right out of the gate. We're only about 3 minutes in. We've already worked our way back down to opening price level. And again, here in the mornings, for me, and I suggest this, but for me, this is an information gathering time. I always call it like recon. I'm gathering information that will hopefully help me and help you, help everybody be able to make wise trading decisions throughout the day. Okay, we know we have the 20 down here, right? We need to know our surroundings. We have the 20 SMA down here. We do have this nice diagonal here that if price could start, moving this direction, could accelerate it, but we do have the 20. That's the one thing we've got to watch for here. As you can see, during the overnight session, the 20 really wasn't being respected. Now, regular trading hours is like its own new animal. It's its own new day, basically. That's why we switched the price level, right? Opening price level was over here, right there, for the overnight session. But as soon as we start regular trading hours, it brings in a whole bunch of traders that don't even pay attention to the overnight. That's why we create our new level for the daytime. Okay, going a little bit red right now. Nothing significant. Okay, nothing significant yet. If we start getting down here and taking out the 26.63.75 level, and especially if we're able to get below the 20, things are lined up here that it could start to accelerate to the downside. Now, obviously, we're way, way early. We're not even we're about 5 minutes in. Okay, so we don't know anything as of yet. Yesterday, what did they do yesterday? Remember? Let's go back and look. Okay, so yesterday, we got to find 9:30. Let's see where we're at. There we go. There's yesterday's opening candle right there. Okay, and we put in a spinning top. We went both directions, ended up a spinning top, then they sold it off. Then the bulls came in and tried to push it back up. Now, if you remember, what did I say when this was happening yesterday on the YouTube live stream? I said we have to make a decision, and we'll know based on what they do if this was just going to be structure, okay, higher high, higher low, lower high, and then down, lower low. Or if they were able to get all the way back up here and at least put in a level high, equal high, or higher high, then we would have assumed that the price action was going to continue on up. But it didn't. So we went from a high to a lower low, lower high, and then we had the sell-off. And we're going to talk about this here in just a minute, because I'll show you what factors led to me kind of thinking we were going to have a significant move to the downside yesterday. All right, but let's watch open. We got plenty of time here. All right, still just slightly red. We're 6.5 minutes in. We know what the setups are, right? We know to the upside we have an obstacle here. We'd have to get over this wick. If we get over that wick, okay, not much to slow us down until we get right up in here. Okay, right around where our resistance level is and just above. Okay, that's to the upside. To the downside, it actually looks pretty good other than the 20. And so far, during the overnight session, the 20 has not really been respected. So if this starts to move down, we have this nice candle structure here, small to medium sized wicks. We could start to see price accelerate to the downside. Okay, what if it would take out all of this? Okay, let's look to the left, right? We always look to the left to see where our potential obstacles could be. All right, so if it took all of this out, if it did move that, we're just giving situations both directions. If it took all of this out, then we come to the left. Let's look here. Okay, these are the same. So if it took this out, it's taken this out. Then we have more small and medium-sized wicks until we get down to here. Until we get down to here. Little bit of a base right there. You see these three candles? That's a little, but look, it didn't really leave very strong. So I wouldn't expect that to put much resistance up. Until we got down to this wick in this level, 2576, there wouldn't be a whole lot that could stop it or slow it down. Again, not saying that's going to happen on one candle. I'm just showing you the different scenarios. The upside, we got to get over here. And if we get over here, then right here would be your next area of resistance, right in here. Okay? And then to the downside, this is set up pretty good for a strong downside move if they want to take it that way. Meaning, when I say they, I'm talking about big money, obviously. If they want to take it to the downside, it's really set up that it could accelerate. And if it cleared this stuff, again, you look over here, it's basically the same thing. Small to medium-sized wicks in basically a diagonal pattern. You had a little bit of a base here, right? And that's probably kind of why this came into here and started back up. You see this here, right? If we were going to draw it across, I'm going to do it and take it off immediately. Okay, if we're going to draw this, I got to get my rectangle. Sorry about that. I just want to give you visuals. Makes it easier than me just trying to talk about it. All right, right through there is your basing area. Got to get up just a bit. Okay, that's your basing area. You see that rally base, and then this was a strong move away, right? Because when it was up here, this was a big green candle. You gotta remember that. Think about these things. When you see this big topping tail here, at one time this was a big green candle, which means when it left here, there was strong buying pressure. Strong buying pressure. Then it came back down into this area, and look what it did. It immediately bounced and went up. If we look down to our filter was in the go zone, meaning, hey, this would be an okay trade to take to the upside, right? In between 40 and 60 there. And it did. And all that's really telling you, okay, it's not telling you it's going to be this big of a move, but it's telling you that it's likely to at least get back to the origin of the move, and it easily did that. It actually went about 3 times further than the origin of the move. Okay, so it got a strong bounce out of there. So that made sense. Now if we come back over here, you see we are still right here around opening price level. Okay, it's a little bit green. It was a little bit red. If we started moving back down again, I would not think that this would offer as much resistance this time. That's why I'm saying if it went red and cleared through here and cleared this, it's just going to probably keep on going. You would have the 200 down here, but the 200 is just above this level, and as we just said, this would be your next level or area of potential resist or support. This wick and this support level. All right. Did you guys see that? I drew that in there for you so you can see, what makes sense here. If you see this developing in real time, I'm going to take it off because I want you to be able to start noticing it with your own eyes. Okay, in real time, let me make this bigger. We'll do it like this. I'll make it a little bit bigger. And then we're going to scroll it over here. There we go. I got to find it. Okay. All right. So in real time, like let's say that's where we were, and then we watch these candles start to develop. Okay. Now we got a couple in a row. Okay. You see these? If you're looking at those in real time, okay, you got to start thinking, I'm talking about right here. You got to start thinking, okay, are we basing here? How are you going to know if you're basing? Within 2 to 6 candles, you should see either a strong move up or a strong move down, right? Okay, next candle, basing, next candle, there's the strong move. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, perfect base, perfect base. 2 to 6 candles is ideal. Then you get the strong candle. So in real time, you got to start thinking, okay, whether you think this is a good supply and demand zone is sort of irrelevant. You've got to understand that if price comes back to this area, it's likely to have support. All right, so let's keep going like we were watching it in real time. Okay, then what's it doing? What's it doing? Chopping along. Then it starts to come back. All right, and then that's where it would have got back into it, right? Because it would have been the top of this candle. You would include all of these to the bottom, the lowest point, top of this body. Okay, now we're into it. Now we would look down in real time, right? In real time, we're between the 60 and the 40, which says, hey, if this starts to bounce, it's probably a good trade to at least make it back up here to the origin of the move. That could be maybe a T1. And here we go. There we go. We're already there. And then what does price keep doing? Just keeps going up at this point. Okay, and where does it catch resistance? Right at our resistance level. Imagine that. Okay. All right, let me scroll back out now. I just wanted to show you that so you get used to seeing those things in real time and being able to identify them. Okay, I'm going to wait just another couple of minutes and then we're going to talk about this over here. I want to kind of break that down for you. As you can see, we're still sort of in a doji. We're right back to opening price level. I'll expand this out so you can see it a little bit better. All right, here we are. And we are 15 minutes in. Okay, now 15 minutes Usually once you're about 10 to 15 minutes in, if there was going to be anything like crazy, it's usually going to happen by now. Not always, but usually, right? And if we look down here, so far the volume hasn't been, hasn't been very nuts. I'm playing around with these numbers on this relative volume. Right now, on the 30-minute, I have it set to 240 candles. Okay, I was playing around with it yesterday, playing around with it today. The default setting is 60. I had it set at 30 yesterday. Okay, I had it set at 30, and I had my my sort of point to give me an alert was at 2.5 times volume. I moved that to 3. Then I played around with 45. I played around with 60. 30, 45, and 60 were all fairly similar. So then I went to 240. And you might say, well, where did I come up with that number? There's basically, right, there's 24 hours in a day. And if you divide that by 2 30-minute candles, that's basically 48 candles, basically. And then if you multiply that by 5 trading days, that gives you 240 candles on a 30-minute chart. So I'm just playing around with this right now. I don't know where I'm going to find the settings that I like the best, but in my mind, hey Cathal, good to see you. In my mind, I was thinking maybe 30 candles on a 30-minute chart is too short because that's not even a full day, right? And what we're trying to gauge with relative volume is when institutional money comes into play. When institutional money comes into play, because we want to be on the side of institutional money. All right, so if over the past 5 days, I'm just giving you my logic, over the past 5 days, we start getting over 3 times the average volume, then that's something to take more notice of. I don't want to go back too far, but I also don't want it to be too short. And in my mind, 30 candles on a 30-minute chart was too short, right? Because it's not even a day. You know, it's like 2/3 of a day. So I'm experimenting right now with 240 candles, and then 3 times average volume. So it won't turn these green to alert me until it's over 3 times. Now again, the more that is, the higher the likelihood that it's institutional money that's coming into play. So when you get to 5 times, 8 times, 10 times, if you get up around 8, 10 or more times average volume, it almost without question is institutional money. But they can come in, like I said, the study I've done on using this as a signal, okay, you know, and again, not to trade off of, to confirm what you think you see. That's what you use that for. What I read was a lot of institutions themselves, hedge funds, prop desks, you know, big money players, they set it at around 3. Some people set it at 4. Some people set it at 5, somewhere in there, to signal them that it's possible institutional money is coming into play. And then they look to see, is the move going my way? And if it is, and there's institutional money driving it that way, that makes it a highly probable play or move. So just letting you guys know, you're going to see these maybe change as I play around with this. I just started over the weekend, you know, and what is this? Today's Wednesday. I lose track of my days sometimes. So I've, like I said, I've had it at 30, 45, 60. Now I got it at 240. Now I wouldn't want it at 240 on a daily chart, right? If I was looking at a daily chart, but I don't trade off of a daily chart. The only thing where you want this to matter is on the chart you trade. On the chart you trade. Okay? I wouldn't want 240 days of information for relative volume if I was looking at a daily chart. That's going back way too far, right? On there, maybe I'd want 15 days, maybe like 3 weeks of information. But here on a 30-minute, I've got it at 240. That's basically 5 trading days of information to see if we're above the average trading volume significantly over the past 5 days. See, a couple more people joined in. And so here we are, okay, starting to move down. And we know I know a couple of you just joined us, what we were talking about before. If we start to get a move down, we've got a setup that we could go low. Okay, we could go low. We have this nice diagonal pattern. If it gets started and we start taking out these wicks, we'd have to get below the 20. All right. But then if we took all of this out, including this right here, and we move over to the left, we have a very similar pattern. I'll squeeze it in a little bit so you can kind of see. All right, here's where we are. If we started taking all this out and got below here and we look to the left, that would get us below there already. Then we have a similar pattern over here, all the way down to here. Okay, so there's much more potential for a large downside move currently than an upside move. Upside, we have to get over this wick. Then we'd have to get over this little basing area right here, which is also confluent with our 2721 resistance level. Doesn't mean that can't happen. We know that, right? We know based on yesterday, I definitely wanted to kind of talk to you guys about that. So you guys remember yesterday what happened, there towards the end of the day, right? We saw price, and I just happened to have the time and sales open when that was occurring. Okay, I had it open, and we literally went from 20, because it tells you the prices that are bought. Right here, you see this? It tells you these are orders that have been completed. That's why I put more stock in this. And you guys already know from yesterday, I have it filtered to where I only see 10 or more, which means 1,000 shares or more. If you see 10, that's 1,000 shares. So anyway, you're controlling 1,000 shares. That's 10 contracts. So yesterday, when that happened, we were at 26.99. And in 1 second, we went from 26.99 and the next order was like 26.71. So what is that? A 28 point drop in a second. Remember how the candle just went whoop? It was big green and it just all of a sudden it just dropped down in and it looked like a hammer instantly. That's why, I know it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse, but that's why I try to tell you guys, if you can help it, don't trade that last 30 minutes and especially the last 5 to 15. It is so manipulated. It is so volatile. Okay, if you were long when that happened, you're done. You're done. Okay, you're just absolutely crushed at that point. So, and I've just seen it. That was a rare occurrence that it moved that fast, that quickly, but it's not totally out of the ordinary. I mean, normally, what would normally happen there is you might be at 26.99 and over like 2 or 3 minutes, it might drop all the way down there. And even at that's fast to drop, 30 points basically. But it happened in 1 second. I just happened to be watching time and sales, and it went from 26.99 to 26.71 in one move. So I don't know, literally, I don't even know how that's possible, but that's what happened. And you guys saw it, right? We were all watching it. It just dropped from a big, wide-ranging green candle. It just went bam down into a hammer, just like that. Then it kind of fluctuated a little bit, and then we continued on down, right? Then we continued on down. So, okay, where are we at? We've got a little bit less than 5 minutes. We're still a little bit red. Let's do this. I'll put in the alerts. Put one above. And then I'll put one below. So here's my above. And the one below, I'll put a little bit further. Okay, and this will be the one below. All right, so now I got those set. So here, I want to expand this. Before we even start looking at anything else today, I want to show you how I had a pretty good idea we were going to get a big drop yesterday. All right, and that's why I left this in. So we had a combination of factors that led me to believe we were probably going to have a significant drop. Can't remember exactly what time, but you guys remember in the premium room, I said ES could have a fairly significant drop, right here coming up. And we were over in this area, right over here when I said that. So let's look. The first factor was right here. Okay, even though this isn't a huge move up, this was a big move down quickly. And we had 2 candles for a base, right? So we know whether you draw that in or not. Again, I want your eyes to start getting trained on this stuff. We know that we got a little bit of a rally base drop, and I always tell you the drop when you're putting in supply or thinking about resistance is more important than the rally. So we dropped away significantly after 2 candles here. All right, and it doesn't matter that you rebounded down here. The drop away is what was important. Okay, it dropped all the way to here. At one time, this was a medium-sized red candle. Wide-ranging, big red candle, then a medium red candle. Then it came back up here to the 20. It ended as a spinning top. Then it started back up. So over here, okay, I already knew that this should be resistance, right? Should be resistance. Okay, when we got there, we were basically right here at the top of 60. We weren't really above it. Let's see if it gives me the number 58. So we were below 60 when this candle got there. That's one factor. We had already moved down, and I had said earlier in the day, if we start to see some green, don't think that we're going to start back up, because it could just be structure. That's factor number 2, right? So when we get up here, we're getting into a pseudo supply area. Then you see this wick start to form, right? So now we got 2 factors. Known resistance area. We were below 60. Now we get the wick, which starts to tell us that we may just be putting in structure. So that's now 3. That's now 3 factors. Then you heard me calling out in the room that on a reverse 1-hour chart, and if you can't do it on your platform, it doesn't matter. You can do it by combining the candles on a 30-minute chart. So what is a reverse 1-hour chart? This was your opening candle. We opened the market on the bottom of the hour, 9:30. That's called the bottom of the hour, right? Top of the hour is the whole numbers. The 30 is the bottom of the hour. So what some platforms allow you to do, and I think Sonny's, if I remember right, I think Sonny's platform, he's on NinjaTrader if I can remember right, I think he can turn it one way or the other. He can either have his hourly set off of the bottom or the top. But if you can't, it doesn't matter, because all you got to do on a 30-minute is start combining every 2 candles. So this is 1 candle right here on a reverse 1-hour chart. This is 1 candle, these 2. This is 1 candle, these 2, right? And we are starting to drop. We'll go back over and look at it here in a minute. These 2 are 1 candle. If we're thinking in terms of a reverse 1-hour chart, why is this important? Because these 2 on a reverse 1-hour chart were an inside candle of this. See? I'll draw it in just so you can see it. Well, actually, yeah, let me draw it in. That'll make it easier. Visuals always help, okay? So these two candles right here I should have drew it further, I'm sorry. There we go. Okay, these two candles right here made up one candle. These two candles made up one candle, and they're inside. So this was an inside 1 hour candle of these two. So when we started down and we took the bottom of this out, that is a price action signal, right? On a 1 hour chart, remember the two most powerful are the daily and the 1 hour when we're talking about scalping and day trading. Okay, if you go back and read the rules, it's right in there. The daily inside candle and the 1 hour inside candle are the two most powerful signals for scalps and day trades from price action. So now that is our fourth factor. Now we have four factors that are all saying we should be moving to the downside. Now let me add a fifth factor. Let's look over here. Is there anything, until you get here, and these are just kind of medium, is there anything from where you would start, right? Because you would enter right there. Is there anything that should slow you down at least until you get here? No, right? There's nothing there. Okay, so then you take that out, you start moving down, and then this would be your first area, and look what happened. We got there, we kind of bounced up just a little bit, and then once we took this out, you look over here, and what do we got? They're lined up to just flush it on down, and look what happened. Right on down. Now we did get this. This was that where the bulls came in and tried to push it up, and they couldn't do it. All right, but you see this? This is why I said in the room, I felt like ES had the opportunity that we were going to have a fairly significant drop. All we're trying to do is put as many factors as we can together. And you see all those? When we add it all up, there's 5 factors that we're basically saying we have the opportunity for a big move down. So that's all I did. I just put those all together, and then that's why I put it in the room. I just said, hey, ES has the opportunity for a significant drop here. Now, it could have stopped right here, right? Like if the bulls would have really came in right here, then maybe it bounces and it turns around, but they didn't, right? There was just a little bit of a bounce there, and then once this thing was cleared, man, it was on. Because over here, there's nothing that can really stop it. So I wanted to cover that with everybody today. Again, just so you can understand what's going through my head when I say things like that in the room, and so you can start seeing them yourselves. Just stay calm, just stay relaxed. A lot of people, when they trade, they get all excited about stuff, they get worked up, and that makes it hard for you to see things. I was trying to even think the other day how to articulate to you how to, like when you're looking at a chart, how to stay relaxed, but I think it just comes through experience. But you just got to see this stuff in real time. So again, just like we did before, let's look at this in real time. Okay, starting right here. So we wouldn't have known anything on that side of the chart, one at a time. Okay, get this candle. That's a medium-sized green candle. Hardly any wicks, which means there's no resistance. Then we get another green candle. Okay. Then we get a spinning top. Then we get a significant drop. So right away, you should start thinking, all right, if we continue to drop away here, I got to remember that across here, if price comes back up to here, whenever that is, I'm likely to see some resistance, okay, because of what we just seen. You need to be able to start seeing that in real time, Okay, next candle, we went lower, and like I said, at the time, this would have been a medium red candle before it reversed and tested the 20 and then came back down and formed a spinning top. This is the important candle though. This one here, let me look at it, 46 candle. That is leaving a level in a significant way. That tells us there's sellers up here. All right, let's look at the next one. We're doing it candle by candle here. Okay, now we start reversing back up. Kind of test the 20. We break through. Now we're into this area. We're into this area. If we drop down, we already looked, it was at 58, so we're below 60. So that says now if we start to bounce, right, that it could be a good short. Next candle, inside candle, next candle. And we know, that's why I have these two lines drawn, if this was a reverse 1 hour chart, we just put in a 1 hour inside candle of this. So now your alarm bells should be going off. Okay, if we take out the bottom of this, this could be setting up for a great scalp to the downside. Next candle, here we go. We just took it out. Next candle, we go further. If we're looking to the left, we know this would be our first area that we need to get through. Next candle, bam, big drop. Next candle, so on and so forth. So that's how you got to look at it in real time. You just got to put the stuff together. You start adding them up, and in your mind, I'm not like physically writing stuff down. It's just all happening in my mind as I see all this stuff. Okay, area of resistance was just created. Right here. Area of resistance was just created. When we get back into this, all right, we're below 60. Second factor, right? Then we put in an inside candle. Third factor. Okay, if it was a 1 hour reverse chart. Third factor. Then I look, is there anything that could stop us from a fairly significant drop? I mean, just from here to here is a good scalp. Okay, fourth factor. If we clear this, do we have room to fall further? You look over here to the left, absolutely. Fifth factor. 5 factors that are all saying the probabilities are high. Nothing's 100%, but the probabilities are high. We're going to see a significant move to the downside. And we did. Okay, that's it. It's all common sense. It's all putting these simple things together. And when you get something that's got, usually if you get something that's got like 3 factors, it's pretty strong. We had 5 things telling us a significant drop was highly likely. All right, so let's go back over. Okay, here we are. Since I've been talking, we're getting the drop that we were looking for, right? This is the only thing that could really slow us down right now is the 20. If we get through here, I would say it's highly likely that we at least get to here. You see this? Little drop, base, and then that's where we rallied from, right? So it would be highly likely that we at least get to here. And if we have enough momentum and we break through there, then this is the next. And these aren't that big, right? But why do I say we need to look at that? Because it kind of pivoted right there. All right, even though those aren't big wicks, price sort of pivoted. And then if we get below there, we've already looked over to the left. We know that, again, there's not much else until we get down here around the 200 and around this area. Okay, it's trying to break through the 20 right now. It's trying to break through there right now. Okay, we'll keep our eye open on it. I'm trying to really take my time on this morning. Because this is a great price action lesson. What happened yesterday, what's occurring right now, okay, those are great price action lessons. That's why I haven't started looking at other things yet. We're going to look at some other stuff, but I just wanted to give you that insight. I'll set an alert so we can go look at some other things. And then if it goes off, we'll know price is continuing to fall. Okay, it may catch support here. That'd be a little bit surprising, only because the 20 has not been respected during the overnight session. But what did I say? Regular trading hours is totally different than overnight. All right, but we've got alerts. I'm going to actually drag this one down. This will tell us if price like literally reverses here and starts to go higher. Okay, because right now it's catching a bounce right here off the 20. All right, now let's. We almost always start with A, so let's go down here and we'll start at the bottom today. Good morning, Sonny. Sonny, if you're just joining us, I just covered a bunch of really in-depth price action stuff, but you'll be able to see it on the recording because I'll obviously post the recording. But we covered a lot of really good price action stuff right there. All right, so let's see here. Walmart gapped up. Here's where we closed yesterday. Closed on a down note, right? See that? Gapped up, but look where they gapped it. Right here, 123.78. Right under resistance. Boom. Big sell-off. Big sell-off. Okay, over a couple of bucks. Right down to support at 121.29. Okay, yeah, we'll move on. But you see that. We talk about it all the time, right? Location. They opened it up right under resistance. Immediately just sells off. Twitter. Seeing if our boy Jack gets any goodwill. He had a gap up, went up, right to resistance, and then back down. Okay, actually went down to here, back, and then here's where he's at currently. He announced that he's donating $1 billion to set up a fund for coronavirus recovery. And I think he also said that if for some reason the 1 billion is not needed, then the money will go to like women and children and things like that. But I was anxious to see if either Twitter or Square, he owns them both, if either Twitter or Square was going to get any sort of a goodwill bounce because of that. Okay, but we got a gap up right up here to resistance. Then it came down, recovered, and right now it's sort of flat. Okay, looking at the advancers, I didn't look to see where it was when we first opened up. Right now we're in the low 1900s. Okay, Tesla. We're working our way backwards this time. I almost always start with Apple and go that way, so I'm working backwards. Okay, Tesla gapped up and just basically has been selling off. All right, now Tesla, this is another one. Okay, you guys know I watch the financial news. I don't necessarily trade it, but they had news come out last night, and then it was reiterated again this morning that they are furloughing a bunch of employees and they're cutting employee pay, I believe it said by 10%. I know I put it in the room, but I think it was by 10%. Now, some analysts looked at that as a negative. Some looked at it as a positive. And you could say, well, how could laying people off and cutting people's pay be a positive? Well, from the health of the company's perspective, that is a positive because it shows they're taking steps to keep the core of the company strong through a crisis. And I was watching some other information on Tesla last night where one of the smart things that Elon Musk has done, as crazy as he is a brilliant guy. I mean, I'll give him his due. He's nuts, but he is brilliant. One of the smartest things he's done is over the last year and a half, they were stockpiling cash, right? They went from being negative, being in debt, to having billions in cash reserves. That's smart because that helps you if you get into a crisis, right? You get into a bad situation, now you have something you can fall back on. Now, they don't want to just burn through that cash, but that helps you to be able to make wise decisions. So that's why some analysts are like, oh, you're laying people off, you're cutting people's pay, that's bad. Other analysts are like, that's smart. He's protecting the core of his business, all right? Now, obviously, it's not been that well received, okay? It's selling off, catching a little bit of support here at the 20, but something to keep in mind when you see news like that. Now, SPY will look very similar to the market because it is the market, right? It's just the ETF, okay? Right here, gapped up, poked its head up just like the market did, sold down, okay, catching just a little bit of support there, just like the market is. Now, we know the market was catching support right at the 20. The 20 is right there for ES. Okay, the 20 for SPY is up here, but it's doing the same thing the market is. Shop. Okay, gapped up, pushed its way up to resistance at 390.95, and right now, just sort of hanging out up here. It's not a super big move for Shop, as you can see. Look at yesterday. All right, that's Shop. Let's look at Roku. Sunny, I'll do that. I just, I'm sorry, it makes it easier for me to have that over there because I can just click on them. But I'll give you full screen because I know it makes it better for you guys from a viewing perspective. Okay, here's Roku. Okay, Roku gapped up, went up almost to our resistance level, sold back down, and right now sort of flat. Okay, that's Roku. Yeah, I got to keep going back and forth. That's okay, though. Regeneron. All right, looks like we got some red here on Regeneron. Yes, we do. Very small gap up, and it's just been selling off. So Regeneron, small gap up, little spike, and it's selling off. Okay, if we look over here, right there was a critical place for it to get through. It did, right? And that's why it's continuing. If we look to the left here, right here, these two wicks would be the next area. Okay, next area that we would expect some possible support. If it gets below there, if it gets below these, it could start to really get some momentum to the downside here, probably down to the 200. So this is Regeneron. Okay, moving to the downside. And what is the next one? Pepsi. All right, Pepsi actually gapped down, pushed up, came back down, and right now it's flat. Looks like it's trying to put in a counter hammer here, but it's little one. All right, but you see how we ended the day yesterday on Pepsi, and even today, topping tail, topping tail, topping tail. And we had a move to the downside, right? Basically, it followed the market, because isn't this what the market did yesterday? Okay, almost exactly, right? We talk about that all the time. Most of the names are going to follow what the market's doing. Okay, we just had an alert on ES. I think it's moving back up. We'll come back and look at some of these other names. So if it's moving back up, that means it really did catch a good bounce off the 20. Yep, here we go. Let me squeeze it in. Get a better look. All right, so you see we got a lot of support right there at the 20. It's bounced back up. We're not even back up to opening price yet. All right, but that's still a fairly significant bounce here. And also, this is a medium-sized wick in confluence with the 20. So I guess you could say there was a little bit more support right here compared to the 20 where it hasn't been respected overnight. Okay, so it's trying to move back to the upside. We'll put an alert just above opening price. And then that way we can keep looking at things. Okay, there we go. All right, we left off, we were looking at Pepsi. All right, let's go to NVIDIA. NVIDIA. Okay, gapped up, pushed up into the 20 here, sold back down right to a support level, 261.42. Caught support and slightly green right now. It's really not doing a whole lot. Okay, NVIDIA, not doing a whole lot. Let's go to NOC. I know that's the next one, which is Northrop Grumman. This is defense contractor. Okay, gapped up, pushed up to the 20, back down, and right now hanging out right around our 330.06 level. You see the theme. See a lot of these names are doing the same thing. Next thing would be Netflix. I know that's the next one on my list. Some of them I can remember by heart. Okay, Netflix gapped up, pushed up, came back down below the 20, went down, came back up to the 20. Now it's selling off. Now most of the other names we've been looking at have been flat, right? After the opening moves, the other names we were looking at were flat. Look at Netflix, it's selling off. Already, this is probably about $4, just eyeballing it. Yeah, closing in on 5. All right. Here would be support, 369.21, and it's confluent with these two wicks, right? So you would look for it to find some support down in here. If for some reason it breaks through there, you do have this wick here, but if it breaks through there, that would be showing a lot of strength to the downside. And, right, if you got through there, you would be thinking you could at least get to the bottom of this candle right here, which is, just to give you an idea, 364.15 basically. So Netflix showing a little bit of strength to the downside. All right, next name, Microsoft. See what we're doing with Microsoft. Okay, Microsoft gapped up, pushed up to resistance, back down, and flat. Okay, so it's basically doing what the majority of the names are doing. Okay, that's Microsoft. I think IWM was the next one. All right, here's IWM. Gapped up, pushed up, sold down, back to the 20, catching some support like the market did. See that? Pushed up, back down to the 20, and then catching support right here at the 20. That's IWM. And what do we got next? Google, and then we'll have our two gold names. Google. All right, Google gapped up, immediately sold down to the 20, and it's flat. You hear the same things coming out of my mouth, right? Okay, gapped up or it pushed up, sold down, flat. Probably about 80% of the names we've looked at, maybe even more. Okay, similar patterns. Okay, now our two gold names. GDX, which is the miners fund, and then we'll look at gold, GLD, right after it. Okay, GDX gapped up, pushed up, came down. Okay, here's the 20 again, and then it's been selling off since it kind of settled in here at the 20. This is GDX. Now gold, we'll see, is it going to be similar? It normally is. It normally ends up being very similar to GDX. Okay, there you go. Difference, gap down, and basically has just been selling off, and right now is at support, 154.59. See what we got next. Facebook. Okay, Facebook gapped up, pushed up, sold off down to the 20 currently. Looks like it might be trying to break through the 20. Let me get a closer view. Yeah, it looks like it's trying to break through the 20. So then you look to the left. Okay, not much over here. We do have a little bit of a gap in here. Okay, so if it got down into this area, it could catch some support down in here. That's if it breaks through. It looks like now it's getting a little support off the 20. But you can see there it tried to break below. Now it's catching some support off the 20. If it would happen to break through, then your next area would be right in through here. If it got through there, it almost for sure would make it down here, which would be a big move for Facebook, right? Because look, here's your biggest candle. That would put the biggest candle on the screen. But we only have 5 minutes left on this candle, so we might check back in on it a little bit later. All right, crowd. Okay, crowd. Let me get closer. Okay, open flat, down and up, ends up as a spinning top. Okay, not a whole lot going on here with crowd, but you can see there hasn't been a whole lot happening with crowd lately, other than right here we had this big spike up and back down. Okay, not a whole lot of movement here recently. Kind of spiked up here, back down. Let's see, from the 20 up to here. Trying to get a gauge on that move, about $1 maybe, $1.30. Okay, so from here to here is about $1.30. But you can see, just not putting in a whole lot of movement here recently. Crowd. What would be the next one? Probably CGC. Yep, CGC. All right, CGC. Gapped up, sold down, came all the way down here to support, caught a bounce. Now it's back up to the 20, which is basically flat for the day. Because right here is where it opened, and it's right there right now. CGC. Now yesterday it sold off after a big gap up. Remember what we talked about yesterday? We said to be careful for gap and fades, and that's exactly what we got, right? Gap and fades. And we had our reasoning behind those. Okay, today, catching a little support right now. If it could get back up above here, right? If it could get back up above there, you'd be looking at a single candle power reversal, and then you would start thinking, hey, we might have some upside potential. Where? Probably up to around the top of this candle. All right, that's CGC. Okay, just had an alert on the market. I think we're still moving up. And that would make sense, right? Because look at the advancers. They've went up from the low 1900s to, we're in the 2100s right now. Okay, I'll make this view a little bit better for you. There you go. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get it to where you can see it better. All right, so after that bounce off the 20, we're almost back up to opening price level. So we got our move down right to here, but right there, this wick and the 20 being confluent, we've caught a bounce. We've caught a bounce. Back to opening price level. I'm now going to, I'll put it about halfway up this wick. I'll set an alert right here. That'll tell us if the move continues. And we only had a few more names that we were going to look at. All right, where are we at? Amazon. Okay, Amazon gapped up, pushed higher, came down, And now it's moving like the market is. You see that? So it pushed down. It didn't even make it all the way to the 20, but in relative terms, it's not doing a ton. Okay, for Amazon, we all know Amazon can move, right? And it's expensive. All right, let's look at AMD. It's been one of my favorites here in the last couple of weeks. And the reasoning behind that, and we've talked about this a little bit, is AMD typically has, if you're an options trader, even if you're not an options trader, if you play shares, okay, it's under $100, right? It's $40 to $50 stock. So it's not super expensive. Option premiums are usually fairly low. You can make good money on AMD and not have to spend much. Okay, gapped up, pushed up, came down to the 20. It's been riding the 20. A little bit of green movement there. Okay, we just started a new candle, so we'll see. But it's been riding the 20. See this? Right through here, riding the 20. Okay, so that's showing us the 20 is being respected for AMD. And okay, this brings me to something I was going to show everybody. I got to change my appearance here. Give me a second. First of all, let me get in. I got to go to appearance, equities, and I'm going to turn on extended trading hours. All right. Get in just a little bit more. Okay, so this right here was the extended hours, meaning after hours, overnight, pre-market on AMD yesterday. Heading into, here was the opening candle, right? There was the opening candle. That's your 9:30 candle. And I think it was Kelsey was asking me yesterday, was there a signal that price, because you see it was dropping pretty strong. Was there a signal that price could catch some support there and go the other direction? Yes. Look at this. See this right here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Base, then a strong move away. Hey, Riz, nice to have you join us, bud. Okay, base, strong move away, right? So that tells us that this area here should offer some support. Okay, it doesn't matter that it happened in the pre-market, or excuse me, in the overnight session. A lot of big money traders, okay, pay a lot of attention, especially early in the day, the first hour, hour and a half of the day, on what happened in the overnight and pre-market on the equities that they trade. Okay, so yes, I told her, and that's why I drew this line, but I wanted to show everybody where it came from, right? Base, strong move away, because we have this gap here too, right? Strong move away, that tells you that's going to be a support area. Where did it come down to? Right here, catches support, and then it really goes strong to the upside, right? Really goes strong to the upside. We were in our 60 to 40 range, which would tell us that, yeah, it's probably going to be a good move, at least to the origin of the move. Yep, made it there, right? There's your origin of your move, made it there. And then, was there a reason why price would then stop there? Yeah, this opening wick, right? You'd have to get through that and hold it. Okay, so from a price action perspective, everything that happened on AMD yesterday made sense. Now, I don't typically turn this on unless I'm looking at it, because I want to see gaps, right? I want to see gaps. But what you could do, okay, you could either leave it on. I don't like the noise of having the overnight session and pre-market, for equities. They call it pre and post, post-market and pre-market. I don't like the noise of having it on my charts all the time, so I just turn it on and off as I want it. So if there's a name I'm going to play right out of the gate, which you guys already know is rare, I rarely play a name right out of the gate. But if there is, I'm definitely going to be looking at this, right? Because I got to know, okay, if price starts one direction or the other, where's it likely to stop? Where's it likely to turn? Where do I need to think about take profit targets, right? Okay, so I just wanted to show everybody that. I'm going to go ahead and turn these back off because like I said, I don't normally keep them on. So right there is where it is on Thinkorswim. You just go to settings, then you go to equities, and then you can turn that on or off. I'm turning it back off right now. All right, so that was AMD. And again, we'll see what it's doing today. We gapped up, and oh yeah, riding the 20. Just riding the 20 here. All right, and then Apple. And then we'll be through the names that we normally look at. Then we'll go back and look at the market. Then we can look at some forex stuff. Okay, Apple gapped up, pushed up, back down to the 20. Okay, it's sort of riding the 20 today. Okay, came back down, catching some support, currently going higher, basically doing what the market's doing. So let's go see here. Let me just do it this way. Let's go back to the market. Oh, we will look at oil too, because oil sold off a little bit. All right, so let's get in a little closer. All right, here we go. Here was our opening candle. Then we went down to the 20, caught support, back up to opening price level. We're early in this candle, and right now we've been both up and down. Okay, so we don't know, right? Is this going to be a resting candle here? It's way early, but we start thinking of the scenarios right away. If we ended like this, then we would say that's a bullish shine and we would look for this to get taken out. But who knows? Maybe it starts to reverse already and go red. Maybe we start to whipsaw. This could be one of these days where, and it hasn't happened in a long time, right? Maybe this ends up being one of these days where we just whipsaw back and forth throughout the day and don't really go anywhere. That would be abnormal for the environment we've been in, but at some point, things will return to normal. And then when we're in a normal market environment, you have days like that almost every week. Out of your 5 trading days, you typically are going to have at least 3 of those kind of days in a normal environment, right? Where the market just chops all day long and doesn't really go anywhere. Okay, so who knows? We don't know that yet. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying it would be odd because we haven't had that in a long time. But if we just got sort of in a range and just chopped up and down all day long. All right, so we have our alerts set. I'm actually going to move this one up now. I'm going to move it up to right here. Let's look at a few forex names. Let's look at Aussie USD. See what it's doing. Okay, it's been having a nice climb here since about 2:30 in the morning. I always like to look at stuff like this on the chart. Okay, because after a strong move, when we see a shooting star like this, what would we normally expect, right? We would normally expect that price should start to reverse. It hasn't so far. So this is something that if this is a name that you trade, you want to keep your eye on it. You want to come back, throughout the trading day and see, okay, what happened here? What happened? Do we just keep melting up and go higher? Like maybe up to this next resistance level? Or does this just sort of get up in here, take its time, and then drop away? That happens a lot, right? You don't always see a signal like this, a setup. Okay, this is a good setup, right? Strong move, nice shooting star. Okay, nice shooting star. We would expect if we could take out the bottom and hold that we should start moving back this way. How far? Maybe at least 50% of this move, right? Because that would be sort of like structure. Okay, so I would probably look for targets down around 50% of this move. But anyway, if you don't, then what you want to watch as you come back throughout the day is what does price action do? Right? Does it just sort of flounder in here and then go lower? Okay, if that's the case, really, you'll kind of still use this as your trigger point. If you just see price just sort of flounder in here and then eventually start to go lower, clear back over here would still be your trigger point. I'll draw it in. You get it to where it should be about normal. I don't know why I can never get it right on 0, 0, 0. No, that's irrelevant. Okay, so you just draw that in and just wait. And if price never gets up through here, especially if it doesn't get up, say, higher than about 50% of the wick, and then it starts back down, that can still be your trigger point for a move down. And then you'll pick your targets out based on that. I'm just saying if it was me, I would take like this whole move and divide it in half, and that would probably be about where I would look for a take profit. All right, so I'm gonna leave that on there because I'll come back and look at it later today. Oh, we didn't look at BA. I'm sorry. Boeing is one we almost always look at. So let's look at Boeing and we'll go back to forex. Gapped up, pushed up, come down right here to support, and it's been flat ever since. So I did want to talk about BA. So remember, before this, 2 days ago, before this, they had bad news come out, right? Remember, I told you, they lost a huge contract, $11, $12 billion. And then the market was strong this day. Everybody expected BA would sell off, and BA went up $24, right? Went up $24. 15 of that was from the open. The rest of it was the gap. It followed the market. That's why I don't trade news, right? Okay. However, here's what you look for. I was watching a video the other day, and it was a can't remember. It was a hedge fund. It was some institutional firm. I can't remember if it was a hedge fund or what it was exactly. But they were talking about why you might not necessarily trade the news, but you file it away. And they gave this exact scenario. So when something happens, negative or positive news, and the day the news comes out, the stock does the opposite. So in this case, it was negative news, and it just ramped the whole day, just moved up the whole day, but the market did too, right? The market was strong. It was just following the market. The market was dragging it up. What they say is on that second or third day, then look for the sell-off. And look what happened on the second day. It gapped up again. And remember, we had our gaps and fades yesterday. Well, look at the fade on BA. Let's look. We opened at 163.79, and we were as low as 140.26. Opened at 163.79, so that was a $23 move down. So that totally wiped out the $24 move up. It just came a day or two after. So try to keep that in mind. If you ever, if you're somebody who likes to watch the news and something comes out negative or positive and you don't get that reaction that you think you should, okay, like here, right? I mean, it made sense that BA should have probably went down. That's huge to lose an $11, $12 billion contract, especially with all the bad stuff that they've had in the last year, right? But it went up $24. So what they're saying, when I was watching this video, what they do, these are institutional guys, is they look for the second or the third day after the news event for the real reaction to that to happen. So in this case, second day, $23 move down, okay? That made sense. But they say, look, 2 to 3 days, right? So if this was counter to the news, which it was, they're saying you could get the reaction on the second or third day. And they say, when I was watching the video, they were saying how retail traders, most of the time, they're so caught up in the here and now, in the moment, that they miss those plays all the time. Because once it didn't happen, they forget about it. They never think about it again. Those institutional guys, man, they're setting alerts. They're putting notes in. Hey, BA went up on negative news, on devastating negative news. It went up. And so they're going to put in their notes, watch for a second or third day drop. And they'd be all over something like this. All right. So just a little help there. Okay, let's look at Euro USD. Back to our forex names. Okay, here we are in Euro USD, and I'm just looking to see, does anything stand out to me? Nothing really in particular. This wasn't really a hammer. We did get a move down back to the 20, but that's not really a hammer. Okay, what I'm looking for when I say does anything stand out to me? Or was there any really nice hammers? Was there really any really nice shooting stars? Was there really any good supporter resistance, supplier demand put in? Okay, so just in these past few days, nothing that really is jumping out at me. Okay, it should, I know we're working on price action right now, but supply and demand, remember, it should jump out at you, right? You should look for these biggest candles on the screen, and then when you find them, you say, okay, did I have a rally-based drop? No, I didn't. I didn't. Okay, over here, rally-based drop. Sort of. You'd like to see these two candles reversed. Okay, you'd like to see the bigger one over here on the drop, but even if you wanted to include this, we'd already have taken it out. You see that? I'll draw it in and then I'll just take it off. Okay, so even if you were saying that this was a zone, you've already taken it out. Okay, this would be pink. See what I mean? Okay, and then what would be, here's the first candle. If we come straight down. Huh. Okay. Right, I mean, like right on it. We're like right there, like 60. And we didn't get a big bounce away. Plus we had the 20 right below. All right. Now, again, could you draw that in? Maybe. Not the best, but we never did, right? We never did get a huge drop away. So when I'm saying look for something that jumps out at you, first find the biggest candles, then start seeing, do we have a rally-based drop or do we have a drop-based rally that makes sense for me to draw something in? All right, we had put this on the screen the other day. We could drag it across. This was for you folks that like to trade breakouts. And then what you do is you're looking for a strong move away out of the range, right? There, this is the range. Right here, this is your strong move away. For me, it would have been when we take out that wick right there. Okay? So here, this would have been sort of green. I probably would have been in. My stop would have been right here. I would have been stopped out, but then immediately, then we went. And we moved all the way up here. Okay, so that's where you got to look at re-entering. You know, you can be right, get stopped out, and then if you just get frustrated, you're going to miss this. Okay, I'd probably exit right up in here, which would still be a good move. Okay, but right here's where I would have looked to enter. So I would have entered on this candle. My stop would have been below the body here. This candle would have stopped me out, but the very next candle, look at that, and then to move on up. Okay, that's for you guys that like to trade breakouts. Let's look at pound dollar. Remember if I even have to, Yeah, I think I do. There we go. Let's look at the pound dollar. Okay, does anything stand out to us on the pound dollar? Okay, we had a strong move here, right? Strong move. Nothing up in here. Here's one of the bigger candles on the screen, but nothing in there. Okay, I've had a couple of you have asked me this via DM. Okay, ES, we had an alert. We'll go back and look. I think it's still moving to the upside. A couple people have asked me about this. They're like, why don't you ever draw a supply zone in when you get something like this? Or even if this green candle is even bigger. Okay, it's not a supply zone. And look, price had no problem going right through there. No problem whatsoever. That's not a supply zone. You need to have, it can be one candle, but you got to get that base in there. Rally, base, drop. Right? So you get a big candle up and a big candle down. That is not a supply zone. Right? That was a reversal, obviously, but it's not a supply zone. And all you got to do is go back and look for them, and you'll see that quite frequently price has no problem moving back through those areas. Okay, over here, this right here, this was, but, okay, it gets tested right here, kind of drops away, down to here, and then came back up. Rally, base, 3 candle base, strong drop away. That would be pink. Right? Comes back up, tested, falls away. However, the 20s right here and the 200, the 20 and the 200. Notice this. Okay? Would that give us a realistic expectation that we could get a fairly significant move? Probably not, because both of them are right in this same area. And as you can see, it came down right to the 20, then it dropped down to the 200, then it came back up, back to the 200. It took a long time before it got down here. Okay, that's 2309, 2356. So let's just say that's about a 45 to 46 pip move. But are you going to wait 31 hour, 32 hours, 33 hours, 34 hours, 35 hours, 36 hours, 37 hours, 8, 9, 10 hours? Are you going to wait 10 hours to try to get 45 pips? Probably not, right? I'm looking for that maybe in a couple of hours, if that. Okay, coming back over here. All right, so nothing really standing out. Here we had a nice drop, and then we had a base, but then we never moved away because of the moving averages. You see that? That's why knowing our surroundings is important. If these wouldn't have been here, let's say one of them was up here and the other was down here, I'll bet you what would have happened here was a strong drop, a base, and then price probably would have shot away. Because look at the move we got once we did get through it. But this is not a demand zone. This is not a demand zone. All right, and let me see. Let's look at pound yen, GBP, JPY. And we will go back and look at the market because I know we had that alarm go off. Okay, now this is interesting. And we've only got a little over 5 minutes to go. If this ends up as a hammer here, okay, strong move up, strong move down, and we say it's strong because of how quickly it happened, back to around the 20. If that ended as a hammer, okay, that could potentially be a move on up, right? Because it would be structure, higher high, higher low, and then it would start to move back up to make a higher high. Okay? Something to keep in mind right there. Coming back through here. Okay, again, this is not a demand zone because it did not leave in a strong fashion. Drop, base, yes, we have our base, but look, Just small candles leaving. Even though it's a bigger move, small candles. Okay, we want to see candles this size or bigger, or like this. See that base and then those kind of green candles leaving, that would be an awesome demand zone. But it's not. It's not. Okay, now price is starting to retrace, starting to move back down, so it doesn't look like we're going to end up. I mean, we still got 5 minutes. It could push back up there. But all I was saying is if that moved down like that, bounced and ended up as a hammer, then you would start looking at possibly going long there, because then you would be looking at structure. Up, down, up. Okay? Let's go back to the market. And we still haven't looked at oil yet. I apologize. We'll get to oil, and then we'll probably wrap it up before too long here. Okay, so here we are. Let me squeeze it in, and then I'll go full screen. Okay, so now we're back up above 50% of this wick. We still haven't cleared the wick yet. So now I'll set an alert up here. Still haven't cleared the wick, because remember, my last alert was about 50% of the way up. Okay, but we've caught some really nice support here. Caught some really nice support right there and got a good bounce. Nothing like this. I mean, we didn't get that kind of a candle, right? But that's good support that we've caught. We still haven't made a higher high yet. Okay, this was our high down. Okay, that was our low. Now we're moving back up. Okay, right now, looking like possibly a doji. Okay, so what would that tell us? We'd look for two things, right? We would look to take the top of this out and possibly go higher. So let's do this. Squeeze this in. So if, again, we're already looking at our hypotheticals, even though we got a few minutes to go. Okay, if we end as a spinning top or a doji, we take the top of that out. We know we got to get over this wick, come across, then we got to get over this wick right here. Okay, so does that give us enough room if we took the top of this out? I'm going to do some quick math. 2686.50. So 2686.50. Then you got to get over here, and then you got to take this out at 2698.50. So that math would be $12, right? So, and would you get all the way up to the top of here? Probably not, right? We'd probably cut it off a couple bucks before there as an exit. So say $10. So is $10 based on the premiums that you would have to pay, whatever they are? I haven't even looked. Let's look at what the premiums are right now. To the upside, you'd pay $800 and some per contract, because it's going to be half of this. It's going to be half of this. All right, so $800 and some per contract to make a $10 move, and then it would also depend on how quickly it made that move. That's if you're playing options. If you're playing a standard contract, it's different. Your buying amount is set, and then you're just making that money per tick, and it doesn't really matter how quickly it happens at that point. On an option, it does. All right. Still trying to move up. Squeeze it in just a little bit. All right, so if it hits this alert, we know that it's starting to take out the top of this wick. And then we look over here, and we'd probably be around there, about 26.96. That could potentially be an area where it could catch some resistance. It could catch resistance anywhere in here, but getting to the top, near the top of that wick, that's where we would likely, if somebody was in a trade, would likely look to get out. And that is only going to get you 89 to 96. That's only $7. I'm sorry, I was saying 10. It's only about $7. So now I'm really not sure that's something that I would take. But if you were playing a standard contract, you know, that'd be what, 350 bucks? I mean, that's up to you. That's up to you. All right, and I keep promising we're going to look at oil. So let's go look at oil. All right, so what happened with oil here recently? We had our big moves, right? Big spike, we dropped down. Big spike, we dropped down. Big spike, then we started moving the other way, and then yesterday, we sort of had this big sell-off. So let me get in closer. We had this big sell-off here over 2 hours. Let's look. It dropped from, I'm just going to eyeball it, 26.28 down to 23. So almost $3, not quite. Almost a $3 drop in 2 hours. $1,000 per dollar move on oil, right? So that was almost per contract, almost 3,000 bucks per contract just on that move in 2 hours. Now, since then, we're just sort of kind of ranging. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. They're really waiting to see, right? Are Russia and Saudi Arabia going to work everything out? And are the rest of the world's oil suppliers going to all band together and cut production because there's too much supply and not enough demand? In the world economic state right now, there's just really not much demand for oil, right? Hardly anybody's driving. Aircraft industry, like I live here in Atlanta, and Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta, a lot of people don't realize this, it's the busiest airport in the world, in the entire world. When they're cranking in a normal day, they have 4 planes taking off and 4 planes landing every 45 to 60 seconds. If you've ever flown into there, it can be intimidating at certain times of the day because there's just planes circling everywhere and they've got them on all these different levels, and then 4 planes will come in at once, 4 planes take off at once. So you'll be sitting on the runway as the planes come in over top of you and land, and about the time they're turning off, you're already heading down the runway to take off. So anyway, I tell you that because this morning on the local news, they showed a picture of Hartsfield-Jackson Airport and nothing was happening. No planes taking off or landing. Busiest airport in the world. That is why oil is so low. Okay, you start adding this all together, right? Everybody's on home quarantine. You just really nowhere to go, so nobody's driving. This is all over the world. Okay, airports, busiest airport in the world, has nothing going on. They were even talking today, it's so dead in there that all the homeless people around Atlanta have been using Hartsfield-Jackson Airport as a place to shelter because nobody's in there. Normally, it's just full of people, but there's nobody in there. So all the homeless people have been sleeping in there. Now the city's worried. They're like, wait a minute, that might be a health issue. We don't want to be mean to the homeless people, but you know, they could have coronavirus. They could have like diseases and stuff because they obviously don't get regular medical attention. And there's all these homeless people just now sleeping throughout the airport because there's no travelers. Anyway, let's go back to the market. We just had an alert go off. I think it's still moving up, I believe. Okay, so that was the alert saying that we barely took the top of this wick out, but so far we haven't held it. Okay, we always say break and hold. Break and hold. I typically, even though I set the alert just a tick above, I typically wait, I'm conservative, until it gets $1 or $2, sometimes $3 above before I look to enter. Now that's if I know I have a good enough target. I'm not going to enter $2 or $3 above a wick if my target's only $10 away. right? Common sense. But if my target's $20 away, yeah, I've got $2 or $3 to make sure I'm getting that move up. So as soon as that alert went off, price immediately started working its way back down, right? So far. Okay. This is about the time we wrap it up normally. Does anybody have any questions about anything? And for those of you who may have joined us late, when I put the recording out here after a while, once it uploads, go back and watch the first 10 or 15 minutes. We covered some really good stuff on price action and on how I was able to determine that we were going to have this big move down yesterday. I give you all the factors that I looked at that told me that we were probably going to sell off there yesterday. Okay, so if you weren't on here the first 10 or 15 minutes today, definitely go back and rewatch that. Yes, Sonny, DPZ. Sonny wants DPZ, which I think is Domino's. All right, Domino's Pizza. Okay, here we are on the 30-minute. Now, I used to trade this, and so these lines that are on here are probably pretty old because I haven't traded it in months. So I will go and readjust these lines, but here we are on the 30-minute, gapped up, sold down, reclaimed the 20, then brought it back, and it's acting as support right now. Okay, see that? Where is the upside potential if it continues to move upside? Well, you're going to get some resistance right here, these wicks and this level. If they would somehow break through there, it would be up near the top of this candle. Okay, is it likely to see that big of a move today? Here's the big, you always go to the biggest candle on the screen. If we move that over, and you got to put it like where opening price was. Okay, maybe not real likely. Okay, here's your average size candles. This is the biggest candle on the screen. Here's some bigger candles. Okay, here's where we opened. If we slid that candle over, here's the bottom of that candle, and we're still above here. Not impossible, right? You could create a new biggest candle on the screen. All right, but if we came up here, retrace, so break, retest, and go, the first area you would look for resistance is right here. These two wicks in conjunction with this. And then if it would break through there, there really shouldn't be anything that would stop it until you got up near the top of this candle. Okay, but let's go ahead, just since we're here, this will be one of the last things we do today, is I'm going to adjust these lines, these levels on support and resistance. Because I can guarantee you these are old, because I haven't traded Domino's in months. Start at current price, and let's just start adjusting. Okay, the first thing we need to do is we're going to move this one up. And if you want them exact, just hover over this line, 334.58. Okay, 334. Did I say 58? I'll double check it. Yep, 334.58. Okay, so that's exact. All right, this one needs to be moved up. Let me just look at it first. 349.98. So all I'm doing right now is I'm adjusting the levels. I think it said 349.98 if I remember right. You don't have to be exact. I'm just showing you how you do it if you want to be exact, right? You just hover over this and it'll tell you where it closed, 349.98. To the downside, I would probably put it at this sharp pivot, which this sharp pivot is 322.37. I'm not going to adjust a ton on here. I'm just going to put a few of them in. What did I say that was? 322.37. So if you want it to be exact, just come in here and change it. And we already have this one. We already have this one. Okay, and This one would, nope, this one is from here. This one's here. Okay, yeah, that's good for now. So switch back to candles. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bigger picture. We haven't done that on anything today. Let's go to the monthly. Where are we at on the monthly? Well, first of all, you saw that huge ramp up. Okay, so on the monthly, we are green, and we're following a momentum hammer. Okay, why? Because this is in the middle or towards the end of a move. You don't know, right? But we know this is a move to the upside. That's a pretty strong hammer off of the 20. So we haven't been able to take it out yet. But on the monthly, if you would take this out, you'd start looking for more upside. Okay, so we're green on the monthly. Let's see what we're doing on the weekly. We're midweek. So this is going to be pretty good info. We're a doji. So green on the monthly. We're a doji on the weekly, still inside. Right? We're still inside here. Same kind of thing though, right? If we take this out, then we'd be looking for a little bit more upside because that's a spinning top. It's not an inside candle, but it's a spinning top. All right? And where are we at on the daily? So we're green, then we're a doji, and then on the daily, we took out the bottom here and we're working our way back up through. This is just me, I highly doubt we're going to go all the way back up here. If we did for some reason, that would be strong, right? That would be strong. And then if you took the top of this out, you could look to go long. And you would look for your targets. Okay, if you took this out, you're most likely going to take that out. Well, then you'd be looking at the top of this candle where this gap is. And that's up around 360. Okay, I doubt, I mean, if you look at here's the biggest candle on the screen. Is it possible? Yeah, because look at the biggest candle. And this one here, right? And let me see if I put that one over there, this candle, 349. That's a $29 candle there, and it's not even the biggest one on the screen. So here's where we opened, and if we went up $29, okay, so basically say 30 to make the math easy, would be up to 58, would be somewhere, whoop, I didn't mean to put that on there. Sorry about that, guys. All right, what did I say? This is $29 candle. No, yeah, $29 candle. And we opened at 338, so 30 would be 68, I'm sorry. So, yeah, we could get there. Yeah, we could get there. So if for some reason this thing started to ramp and you took out the top here, you could definitely play it from there to the top of this. Okay, but you got a gap here, so there'd likely be some pretty strong resistance once you got there. All right, so that's DPZ. Sonny, I hope that that helped you out. And these levels are now correct and exact. These are exact levels. Yeah, DPZ, that's why I used to trade it. It is a stock that is really sensitive to upgrades, downgrades, news catalyst. Yeah, as you can see by some of those candles, it can really start to move. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then here you are on the 30-minute. Here you are on the 30-minute. Let's see if this is inside or not. I think it's not. 342.51, yeah, it is. This is an inside candle. High, 342.51, 342.53. So that's an inside candle. If that gets taken out, all right, you do have these two wicks here, though. Keep that in mind. If you got above those, then you could be looking right up here. Gotcha, Sonny. Gotcha. All right, we just had an alert go off on Twitter. Let's go see what that was. Put this in this way. I'm not used to having the full screen. I'm always used to just clicking over here. Oh, I hit the wrong things. All right. Okay, so Twitter, look at Twitter. Twitter is showing some strength to the upside. And I'm trying to see why the alert went off. Let me look at like the weekly. There had to have been a reason I had it set. Let me look at the daily. It might even have been an older alert. Trying to go back through here. I really don't know why I had it set. It's probably an old alert that went off, but it is ramping. It is, and if it clears here on the daily, then it's got room up to near the top of here. Okay, so Twitter's on the move. I'll bet you, let's go back and look at the market. I'll bet you the market is also moving. $30-minute. Yep. See, the market's moving as well. Yeah, Sonny, I know. I can go back and look at my messages where I typed it in. I'm just trying to go ahead and get through this, and then we'll wrap it up, and then I probably will go back and check the messages. All right, so now we're looking, can we take this wick out right here? We're almost there. I'm going to set an alert. We'll be getting off of here, but I'm just going to set this, and that'll tell me if we hit this alert. We're up here at the top of this wick. Yep, which is 99, and I have it set at 99.25. All right. So if I squeeze that in a little bit more, I'll make it full screen for you. Okay, so here we are. This is ES on the 30-minute. And I'll squeeze it in just a bit. All right, so here we go. We went higher high, higher low, but then we went lower high, higher low. Okay, now we're moving up. I wouldn't even include this. Now we're making a higher high. So it almost looks to me, I'm going to show you something here. Okay, almost looks to me, some people call this a saucer pattern. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. You know how I talk about the slow curve? Okay, so that's almost like a bowl or a cup shape. Some people call this a saucer pattern, where you come down, you kind of curve in, then you flatten out, and then you curve back up. It's the same kind of concept. You would be looking to get back up near the origin of the move, which would be right here. Okay, and then the first time you get up there, you would typically look for some sort of bounce back down. So if you're ever watching a video or you're on Twitter or you hear somebody talk about a saucer pattern, this is what they're talking about right here. Okay, kind of curves down, then flattens out across, and then it curves back up. Whereas when I say slow curve, it's more like a bowl, right? Comes down and it would continue down like this, and then nice gentle curve back up. That's the only difference. It's the same mindset. Okay, you're looking for price to come back around, get back up near the origin of the move, right? It's not always going to be exact. It might be a little below, it might be slightly above, and then typically you look for it to at least bounce off of there, if not turn around and start selling down. Okay, either way. It can happen either way. But that looks, if we can clear this, that looks like what it's trying to complete here. And where would that be? Okay, you have a move up, a couple of basing candles right here, and a move down. Not a strong move there. I would have liked to seen this candle up here, but that's okay. Still, we're right in confluence with the 27-21 area. You would expect, right here, you would expect to get some resistance over here. So just keep that in mind if this breaks. If it breaks this wick, okay, more than likely it's going to shoot right on up there. Probably happen fairly quickly if it breaks and holds this wick. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for today. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it, and hopefully everybody can, hopefully you learned something this morning, and hopefully everybody takes some good trades today. I'll see you in the room. Bye-bye.